Alright, making a video. Really not your problem, but I'm still not feeling like my old cruddy self. It's like a new level of crud. So anyway, we would try to endeavor to persevere, as the old Indian would say, in the, propaganda movie. Anyway, it really was a good movie. Outlaw Joyce Wells. Anyway, I just love that old Indian. Anyway, Will. Okay, Modern Mystic made a video. So pleasant, really, to hear a real brain talk for just a brief moment anyway. Yeah, I mean, gee, you do get starved for it. But anyway, so yeah, I noticed Antikantavad using the word, and I didn't make a big deal out of it because, it's a separate subject. But it did get me thinking because Bella made a response to me on the sports thing and used the term exercising the mind. That the mind doesn't get exercised because we have all these preposterous distractions. We're programmed into bullshit. And so the stuff that would be a real resource to our brain, food for our brain, tools to organize our thoughts and our logic and our perspective are lost, just because of the things we waste our time on, because you only get so much of that. Had me thinking about time and just how, and I sort of amazed myself by imagining, what if the internet happened 20 or 30 years earlier and my brain had 20 years of it already. Yeah. Ooh. Scary, scary. I mean, if I had this resource when I was strong and not an old fart. Anyway, I mean, just, yeah, I probably would have got caught up in some kind of will thing. So that's really what I'm going to talk about, because that's the irony of Antikantavad's will theory, is that it just feeds your next will. So let's say I go into an event and I use my will, my thought program, my idea, and I say, okay, I'm going to have a positive mental attitude. Okay, and I just positive mental attitude all over the fucking thing, and yeah, it just makes it so much easier and, more comfortable. And so when I'm done, I'm going to have a new will. And my new will is going to be, let's keep doing everything the easy way. Let's keep making it easy on ourselves. And that's going to be your new will. It's just going to be negation of anything that gets in your way. And I could argue that the modern mystic, here's another example of a person who, he has an idea, notion, will, thing in his head that says, suffering's smuffering. It doesn't really matter. If you feel good, you feel bad, it doesn't matter, blah, 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 blah. So this has got to be very comforting. I would find it very comforting if I could negate the significance of suffering, especially the future suffering that's going to exist because everybody's gardening or playing sports or watching TV or playing video games, and nobody's panicking about the suffering that's going to happen tomorrow because nobody's doing anything about it. And that's sort of my point, is that, theoretically, we probably should be panicking. We probably should be disturbed. We should be irritated. And so when people are talking about how to, reinforce your positive will, I'm like, okay, that's really nice for you personally, but what does it do for the world if everybody positive thinks themselves into negation of existence of the Holocaust and global warming and reckless reproduction and corporations that'll kill you in insidious ways. None of that's going to get taken care of. Justice isn't going to happen. Nothing's going to get fixed if everybody wills themselves into mechanisms of coping. If everybody copes, then nobody's going to need to fix anything because they all coped to it. They all acclimated to it. And so there really has to be a strict kind of balance to how far you go with this personal thing. And I think that can be done, to tell you the truth. I think you can have all your personal jolly comfort, still know there's a job to do as a principle, have it as a mission statement somewhere, and say, yes, I have to give a couple hours a day to the real world. It does need to get done. Somebody's got to do it, and if everybody who can do it decides somebody else is going to do it, then obviously it's not going to get done, so I guess I better, do. And, some sort of obligation program, and do your duty as a brain that knows there's a problem. So you can still live in your delusion, or in your comfort, or in your complacency, or in your acquiescence, or in your acclamation. But you can understand that, yes, I'll give some time to this fixing of things, because I realize that even though I don't feel inconvenienced by the horror does exist, and somebody must do something about it. So anyway, I'm just saying that the two don't have to be incompatible. But we know the nature of human beings: out of sight, out of mind, out of mind, out of sight. Okay, it works both ways. So, and this will thing is just self-feeding. So my argument on the will, the subject of will and disciplines and principles, is just a simple understanding. I mean, it's a huge mechanism of realization, of understanding how to construct your psychology, in the sense that we can do that, having programs that will organize the organization of your organization of your organization, is this idea of acknowledging the distinction, between your personal psychology and your capable of knowing mind, and acquiring, giving each of them tools, having them acquire tools, this of understanding. That means they can fight with each other without doing damage to each other. That your better judgment, your conscience, can apply judgment and authority without being brutal to your psychology, without hurting you. And likewise, your ape, your visceral I want, can respect the fact that that guy's smarter. The knowledge base is smarter than I am, and I have to respect it. When it really puts its little foot down, I have to listen. So you learn how to, these characters learn how to interact without doing damage to each other's function, the function of your psychology to keep you in the game, keep you strong, not destroy you. Because I think quite obviously a brain can destroy your psychology. Your thought patterns of your intellect can keep spelling out, your life is futile, you can't do anything, it's 1,000,000 to 1 odds, it's 1,000,000 to 1 odds, everybody's an asshole, you're fucked. It can yell a bunch of crap at your psychology and defeat it out of the game. Or it can temper its conversation with your psychology and let you know that, yes, you're totally fucked, but, there's no winning without trying, buddy. Every journey starts with the first step. Come on, just hang in there, fucker. Something a little bit encouraging, keep you marching down your path, keep you in the game. So anyway, but there is this infinite regression, this infinite feedback. So we're back to this feedback notion, which came up in the conversation about consciousness, that is created by a feedback loop. Well, I guess I would argue that the conditioning and elements of will are also feedback strengthened. If you go positive thinking, it will feed itself. Because the more you acquiesce, the less you'll see, and the more you'll acquiesce. So, it just feeds. Your vision gets more and more colored. As soon as you throw the pink dye in, it just mixes and mixes and mixes, and it doesn't seem to dilute. It just pollutes. Ooh, that's good. It doesn't dilute, it pollutes. Yeah. It will consume you. And so this is the danger. Now, likewise, Antikantavad likes to speak of the danger of the dark side. But I think, as the mind guy, poetry guy, has pointed out, unfortunately, I think the dark side has a lot more clarity, because it's not driven by hunger. It's not driven by desire. When you break desire, you break a huge bias that exists inside of you. And depression is a real desire breaker. Antikantavad might disagree, but maybe we've had very different kinds of depressions. But anyway, one might be a suppression instead of a depression, I don't know. But it doesn't matter. It's not the real point I'm making. The point I'm making is you will have a self-fulfilling prophecy. Once you chase personal comfort as your primary mission, you will destroy, in all likelihood, your productivity. Because the comfort will, the will to acclimate and minimize and enhance the pleasure of willing yourself to do that will create a complacency, and that complacency will blind you to willing yourself to do something about something that's broken, acknowledging the broken, feeling the broken, accepting the broken. You'll lose your taste. You'll lose your sense of perspective, and it's a silly I think that there's no sense of perspective. You'll lose your perspective. Your perspective will become owned by your personal comfort mission rather than your personal productivity mission. So I guess that's what is another key concept that's being argued here. And Antikantavad is concerned with the value in living a rich and satisfactory life, where I am focused on the prime directive, which is first be productive. If you're not productive, then you're void. You failed. That's automatic. You can still succeed and be miserable if you're productive, but you can't do it the other way around. You can't be happily unproductive and succeed. So productivity has to be first. You have to fill that quota. And until you fill that quota, focusing on your personal comfort is just making you a bigger asshole. If you haven't achieved your obligations to the world in terms of being more of a giver than a taker, then you haven't any business looking for your profit. Yeah. So anyway, this is just a pragmatic truth. Like I said, I'm all for people having fantasies in the bedroom and fantasies at the dinner table and fantasies at even their work desk, and wherever you can apply one to make life easier to get through, great, except when you compromise your obligations to your productivity, except when you use those tools to negate prime directives and the real values that you're exchanging in your existence. So, to turn this back on the modern mystic, I love this video, blah, 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 great, 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 and I'll do my butt thing. But the modern mystic, I think, has fallen into the same trap where he has conformed his philosophy of the world to suit his will to achieve comfort. And he has abolished obligation to a notion of productivity because he has negated the very concept. And I'd say, wow, that's a huge mistake. You really can't get it much wronger than that. So, irony much. Again, we agree on 999% of reality, except the most important brick in the building. I mean, every brick we say, hey, that was a well done brick. And the brick we disagree on, right there at the cornerstone, the brick holding all the weight. And, we completely opposite. Amazing. So anyway, the concept here is that will can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. It ends up just being part of your conditioning mechanism. And as I spoke about, that can just make you an obsessive. It can make you a lazy ass. It can make you a lot of different things. And you got to play with your psychology carefully. And then the other thought is this idea of mind exercise, and the fact that we, as a society, don't obligate people to exercise mind. We don't force them to be meme players, to be good at dribbling the memes and throwing the memes into the hoop and scoring the goal of accurate reasoning and good logic. We're not doing any. The society isn't subsidizing good meme play, good mind health, good mind strength. There's a lot of weak minds running our world, and weak minds being iconized as the way to go, and it's the way to fail. Anyway, till next time. I figure I'll do a little add-on, just inhaled into my lung, another one of those lousy little bugs. It's most horrific. Almost died. Anyway, so I did want to add on. This will subject is sort of, interesting, and the feedback part I think is interesting, and how, we're just a product of what initiates us, and that we just kind of roll that that donut. It's a certain kind of frequency that you start with, and that frequency will just be built on through life. That you just don't do. You're a big part of you is probably decided. It is decided, but let me see what the right way to put it is. You're going to keep conforming to patterns, conforming to habits that are very early acquired. So it sort of relates to the whole conditioning argument on the subject of religion and its being a mental disorder, and how once you seed something with a habit, the habit gets stronger, often as it feeds on itself. And that the creation of our existence, we were created by the environment. First, the environment of 4 billion years of our genetics, the environment of what happens to our mother in terms of her experiences, and the chemistry she pushes into you through your gestation, and then the environment that maturates you, and then the environment that you interact with, and that there'll be patterns, there'll be pathways that it's more intuitive for me to go this way than that way. There's a reason why I tend to go this way than that way. And these patterns will repeat themselves and reinforce themselves in our conditioning often. And, and so we're very much shaped and conformed by what the world provides. So if your world provides you opportunity to go this way and try something new and say, ooh, that was a sweet bit of candy, and now you will be reconditioned because the world pushed you to do that. Something in the environment, something in the happening changed your orientation, and you acquired a new habit, a new discipline, a new bit of will, a new idea. And it's all sort of, played through the mechanism of a consciousness that has a function. And the function is your self-preservation, to perform your replicating duties biologically, which we've negated that purpose, but we still have the motivational device and the social constructs, emotional social constructs that were put in place to make it possible for us to do our alpha-ing, to do our contesting for who will produce the next generation, what genetic code gets passed on. So we've completely changed that game. We've taken all the selection out of it, but the game of our ideas, the new evolution, the evolution of knowledge bases, understandings, psychological tools, will programs, the evolution of will programs, is still in place, and that evolution is a good contest. Basically, there are two elements, always has been, judging what ideas are supported by pop culture, and there's the mechanism of personal convenience, and then there's the mechanism of a hierarchy that will scrutinize and critique. And we do now have science established as part of the hierarchy, so logic is required. You can't be completely delusional in public. Generally speaking, you can't say we're going to build a giant ark because God told me so. If you're president, that's probably not going to work. So we're weeding out delusions and nonsense gradually. Bad, dumb ideas, the racisms, the sexisms, the isms, are being erased and eradicated from reasonable will programs. There's almost a deliberate effort now to encourage and promote and subsidize more reasonable will programs. So there's this element of forced progress that's imposed by logic and the acquisition of knowledge. Those two forces do exist still. It hasn't been totally 1984'd out of existence, but we are getting close in many areas. The whole revolutionary versus terrorist argument. So many perversions of language and perversions of emphasis and importance. So anyway, I'm just throwing in that little bit of context. It's kind of stuff I've talked about before, but not recently. The brain game, how we are being refined by a definite process, just as a tornado must spin a certain way, and must conform to certain laws and rules of nature. We, in spiraling information, in mixing it, are obligated to do it in a certain manner. We're encouraged to do it, let's say that. It's the tendency for it to be done in a certain manner. Obviously, you see, we can break logical rules, and tornadoes can't break physical rules. So that's sort of the difference. Humans can break the laws of rationality. They can be self-contradictory and all that kind of crap. There's no law against it, so to speak. There's only a general hope that most brains are functioning well enough to stop the aberrant brains from polluting good reasoning with bad and such. Yeah, sorry, I'm all sniffly. Allergic to that stupid bug. Oh, it went right into the, bad place. Had a hell of a time coughing it out of me. Oh man, it would be really quite nice back here, but this cat shit, look what he's doing to the grass. It's just gotten so lazy. Yeah. I mean, fuck. Stinks back here. That's the price you pay for having a heart and such. Plants aren't exactly going insane here, but should be getting some flower soon. I don't know how that could be dry already. I just watered it last night. Wow, it's 1,000,000 degrees. You gotta water more often, asshole.